sixth graders. Okay, yesterday we were learning how to find ratios and equivalent ratios and looking at how to make equivalent ratios. And we found that in order to find an equivalent ratio, you had to multiply one side by the exact same number on the other side. And that's how you got an equivalent ratio. We also saw that equivalent ratios, are a lot like using fractions or equivalent fractions. Today we are going to be looking at how to find equivalent ratios when we are using a ratio table. So first of all, what is a ratio table? Well, a ratio table is just a way, like a fancy way, to organize data. So ratio tables are a way for us to organize data. So ratio tables are a way, or a tool, to organize data. And we can use these ratio tables to put information into them. So ratio tables help us organize data. Okay, so what kind of data are we looking at? Well, they help us to see how things compare. So we can use things like, well, let's just do one. Let's use an example and then we'll go from there. Okay, so let's say that I am comparing cars and trucks. Okay, so let's say that I am comparing cars and trucks. So I want to compare cars and trucks. Okay, so the way that I'm going to do this is I am going to make a ratio table to see what equivalent ratios are. So I can start out by first creating a table. So the table can look like this. And on the top we would have cars. On the bottom we would have trucks. And we would then compare cars and trucks. So we have cars to trucks. Let's say that my first ratio is 3 cars for every 5 trucks. And I want to know, how many trucks do I have when I have 6 cars? So I would have to figure out, how do I get from 3 to 6? So I can either multiply forward or I can divide backwards. So I can say that 3 times what gives me 6? Well, 3 times 2 gives me 6. So on the bottom then, I would need to multiply by 2. So 5 times 2 gives me 10. So that means that I would have 10 trucks. 6/10 would be my equivalent ratio. So if, let's say then that I had 20 trucks on the bottom, I need to know how many cars do I have. So I can say over here, I can work backwards and use 20 divided by 5 and know that my multiplier is 4. So to get from 5 to 20, I had to multiply by 4 in order to get there. So if I multiplied by 4, that means that up here I'm going to need to multiply by 4. So 3 times 4, and that would give me 12. So that means that for every 12 cars, I would have 20 trucks. So my ratios are equivalent. So this is just a way for us to organize our data. Now we can take the data from the data table and write our ratios. So next we would write the ratios. Oops, pen is running out. Write ratios from the table. Okay, so from the table we had 3 to 5, we had 6 to 10, and we had 12 to 20. Those are the ratios of cars to trucks. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, let's do another one. Let's go ahead and compare. Let's make this not so blurry. There we go. Okay, let's compare now. Let's compare shirts to sweatshirts. So let's go ahead and compare shirts to sweatshirts. Okay, so ratio tables can also go so horizontal, but they can also go vertically. So it says your closet has 5 shirts for every 2 sweaters or shirts. Okay, so shirts versus sweatshirts. Your closet has 30 shirts. We want to know how many sweatshirts are in your closet. So we have t-shirts, we can make this t-shirts versus sweatshirts. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to create like a T-chart. So our T-chart would look like this. We're going to have t-shirts and we're going to have sweatshirts. Okay, so in this way, our table now is going to go vertically. So instead of going horizontally like this, it's going to go vertically like this. Now it says for every 5 t-shirts, we have 2 sweatshirts. So for every 5, we have 2. And they want to know how many, the other numbers that they have here look like this. And I want to make sure I fill this in correctly. Oh, I gave you too many boxes. Okay. So we can figure out how to get from one to the other. So we can say that our first ratio is 5 to 2. So our first ratio that we have is 5 to 2. Our second ratio gives us a ratio of 10 to some unknown. So we need to know, how do we get from 5 to 10? Well, we get from 5 to 10 by multiplying by 2. So over here, we need to multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 gives us 4. So our next ratio then is 10 to 4. Again, you can write it as a fraction of 10 over 4, or you can say 10 to 4. All of those are correct. Okay, now we want to know, how did we get from, go back to your original one, and get to 10? Well, here we can work backwards. So 10 and 2, well, we can divide by 5, right? So to get from here to here, we can say 10 divided by 2, and that gives us 5. So our multiplier is 5. So on this side, we need to multiply by 5. 5 times 5 gives us 25. So for every 25 t-shirts, we have 10 sweatshirts. So this one is 25 to 10. Okay, and last but not least, so that we can answer this question, how do we get from 5 to 30? Well, we can say I have 30 divided by 5, because this is my original ratio, and that gives me a multiplier of 6. So over here, to get this one, I need to do 2 times 6, and that gives me 12. So my ratio here is 12. So this says 12 to, nope, sorry, 30 to 12. Remember, t-shirts has to come first because that's the first one in the box. Okay, now what if this was, like 20? What if I had a number of 20 over here? How many t-shirts did I have? Well, we can figure that out, right? We totally can figure this out. So we're going to take 20, divide it by 2 because that's my original, and that says that my multiplier was 10. So 5 times 10 gives me 50. That's a lot of t-shirts in your closet. So my ratio is 50 t-shirts for every 20 sweatshirts. That's a lot. I think my closet is like switched. Okay, let's do a try it. It is your turn to do a try it. Okay, so I want you to fill in this ratio table for me. Okay, your ratio table says for every 2 cars you wash, your friend washes 3 cars. If you wash a total of 8 cars, how many does your friend wash? And then there's some others that you need to fill in along the way. So, I would like for you to do this, try it right here. So this, I want to make sure I set this up correctly. So it says you, and it says your friend, and it says 2 and 8, and it says 3. Okay. And we're going to do 6 here. And we need to figure out what our multiplier is going to be over here. 6 there. Okay, so now I want you to hit pause so you don't hear me solving this problem. And then you are going to solve it on your own. And then when you're done, come back. Okay, ready? All right, so to get from 2 to 6, I need to multiply by 3. So if I multiply by 3 on this side, so 2 times 3 gives me 6. So that means that over here I need to do 3 times 3, which equals 9. So 9 goes in the box right there, and my ratio, my equivalent ratio is 6 to 9. 6 to 9. Okay, so to get from 2 to 8, I did 8 divided by 2, which gives me 4, so my multiplier is 4. And so if I multiplied 3 times 4, so 3 times 4, which means that, so to get from here to here, I do 3 times 4, which is 12. So I put 12 in the box, and that means 8 to 12 is my ratio. So now I need to know, how did I get from 3 to 6? Well, I can do 6 divided by 3, and that gives me 2. So to get from here to here, I need to go 2 times 2, and that gives me 4. So my ratio here is 4 to 6, And this one is 2 to 3. So here's my ratios right here. All right, how did you do on filling in your box and your equivalent ratios? Go ahead and answer your essential question. How do you find equivalent ratios using a table? So go ahead and answer that essential question. And then fill in your box out to the side. One, I totally understand how to use it. It's the same thing. It just organizes our work and helps me to better see how things go. 2, I am okay. I'm just needing more practice. 3, totally fine. I've got this. I'm just going to keep practicing. And if you need more help, come on over to the Google Classroom and ask me for some help. If not, head on over, do your practice work. And as always, Cougars, thank you for all of your hard work and make it a great day the Cougar way.